One day, the world suddenly came to an end. A pandemic, war, economic decline, shortage of food. Such ominous omens have appeared. But the one who hammered the final nail in humanity's coffin wasn't themselves. The ones who brought upon the end to humanity were monsters. What happened after that was pretty predictable. Just like how it goes in novels, metahumans who possessed special abilities appeared. However, there was something different between the novels and reality. The metahumans weren't powerful enough to end the apocalypse. 3 days later, the world hasn't completely ended. That's because our protagonist is still alive. But he's alone. He's the only one living in this 100 square meters apartment. His family are all outside. His father ultimately decided to buy this place. It was bought by borrowing a total of 200 million won from the bank and all of his family's assets, which totaled another 200 million won. The reason the protagonist is staying here despite not being born wealthy is because someone needs to live here for 2 years before they can enjoy the tax benefits from buying it. That's why our protagonist has been living in this place and has been locked in after the sudden apocalypse that happened. He checks his phone and sees that the network is down. Suddenly, he sees a big monster coming toward his apartment. Protagonist gets very scared. Monster slammed into the building but wasn't able to enter. A message window popped up notifying that a subject who hasn't permitted entry is trying to enter. Protagonist ability is Ultimate Shut-In. House declaration, and it's on level 1. No one can enter the house without the ruler's permission. The reason our protagonist survived until now is because of this ability. The 3rd day, after the world faced its end. Thanks to this ability that's protecting our protagonist, he's completely trapped in this house. He's sitting in the corner realizing that he can't do anything because of his ability. The main problem is food. His fridge's electricity has been cut off since yesterday. He was surviving with side dishes that were sitting in his fridge, but those won't last long. He only had a few packets of ramen left. Suddenly a message popped up to him that he had hunted a calican. He's obtained a great amount of experience. His skill level has increased. When he sees outside the window, he sees the monster that had slammed into his house before his dead. Protagonist wonders if he has ended up hunting it because it crashed into his house. System notifies him that he has obtained a new skill. A loot nearby has met the requirements. While the system was calculating the loot, all the monsters who were eating the bird monster started acting crazy. System successfully calculates the loot, and the protagonist has received 2.2 million won into his wallet. Because he leveled up, some of the house functions have been restored. It includes things like electricity and water. Protagonist is happy because everything reverted to what it was like before the world ended. He checks his phone to see if the Wi-Fi is working or not. But sadly it's not working because just some of the functions have been restored. When he turns on the computer to play games, he suddenly remembers his family and how he grew up with them. So he decides to bring his family back. A system window pops up and notifies him that now he can buy items from the store at original prices. He can now list any items in the store to buy them at original price. When he clicks the store button, it shows him his wallet. So he realizes that this is connected to Shut-In's wallet. He opens the window and tries to go outside, but despite being leveled up, he still can't leave. One thing he is sure of is if he hunts monsters, his level increases and he'll get a new skill. If he levels up, then he might be able to obtain a skill that lets him go outside. But the question is, how he can hunt monsters from inside. It's hard to expect a situation like before to happen again. After seeing goblins outside, he thought that he might be able to hunt them. He takes a bottle and throws it outside to check if he can throw things outside, and it works. He takes a heavy dumbbell and decides to throw it at goblins. Then, goblins decide to leave. When they were about to leave, the protagonist threw the dumbbell at them while praying for it to not miss. But he missed the target. He realized that he's screwed because he just has one dumbbell left. He starts wondering about what to do, because he doesn't have anything else in the house that he can kill goblins with. He's not strong enough to throw computers or TVs. He looks outside and sees that all the goblins are standing there angrily. Protagonist sees them and thinks that the distance isn't so bad. He opens the store and decides to list the dumbbell on it. System checks the dumbbell and successfully lists it in the store. When he sees the price, he declares that it's the same price as when he bought it online. He assumes that the market rate here is the same as before the world ended. He purchases 2 dumbbells. They successfully materialize in front of him. He throws one of the dumbbells outside, and it successfully hits the goblin's head, killing it at the spot. Protagonist received experience and some money as a reward. Without wasting any time, the protagonist throws another dumbbell at them. This time, all the goblins dodged it. So the protagonist purchases 3 more dumbbells. He throws one of it outside and successfully hunts another goblin. His level is now increased, and he received a new skill. This skill grants him an alternate dimension where he can store his items. He opens the storage to test it. He put 1 dumbbell inside the storage, and it worked perfectly. He can summon his items at any time he wants. He decides to use the storage room more efficiently. He stores many dumbbells inside the storage and summons them outside the window at once. With this, he can hunt multiple goblins at once. Many goblins died, because of which he received a huge amount of experience and also a huge amount of money. Now the protagonist is about to list more items. He listed 10 items after the shop opened. He sold the dumbbell that he used to defeat the goblin with, as well as all kinds of groceries and daily necessities. Suddenly he realizes that he lost one. He realized that the system cost money to keep the dignity preservation on, meaning the electric, gas, and water bills. It must be happening due to the refrigerator. After protagonist hunted the goblins by dropping dumbbells on them, they ran away and abandoned their old home. Since then, he's only managed to kill 2 of them. He quickly has to find other creatures that he can hunt. When he looks outside, there isn't even a single monster. So he has to find another method. He wonders if he'll be lucky enough to have a dumb Calican fly by. His luck kicks in, and he noticed a Calican coming towards him. He quickly runs to find something that he can use to hunt Calican with. He created this thing with a spoon attached to it, so he can deflect sunlight at the Calican. Calican notices him and tries to attack him, but Calican can't enter the house because of the protagonist's ability. Guys, this is the 3rd chapter of this story, but I still don't know the name of this protagonist. He is sure that he will level up after hunting this big Calican. Calican flies up and sticks to the wall. Then it tries to enter the house, but the protagonist's ability won't allow it. Calican attacked the barrier again and again. Protagonist gets scared, wondering if this barrier is going to break. He quickly opens the store in order to do something. From what he has observed so far, loot calculation only happens if the corpse is nearby. His goblins' hunts haven't always been successful. Some survivors took the corpses of their dead allies away, and those corpses weren't calculated as loot. In other words, if the distance exceeds a certain limit, loot calculation doesn't occur. Protagonist can't let that happen. He has to find a way to kill it in one shot. Suddenly, he finds canola oil 900 milliliters in the item list. He purchases 10 bottles of canola oil. He drops all the canola oil in a bowl and starts making it hotter. Then he takes some papers and wraps them around a stick. When canola oil starts boiling, he opens the shop and lists it as an item. He takes his stick that is paper wrapped around it and is soaked in canola oil. He put it on fire. After that, he summoned the canola oil on top of the Calican. Calican takes damage because oil is hot. Protagonist doesn't waste a single moment and throws a stick on fire at a Calican, and that lights up the oil, cooking Calican in the process. Calican literally get cooked. Protagonist receives a huge amount of experience that increases his skills level and also grants him a new skill. System starts calculating the loot that is nearby. After the calculation was completed, the protagonist received 9 million won. He was very shocked because he received almost 10 million won. Systems notifies him that he has met the requirements to begin the expansion of territory. His whole house starts shaking. Suddenly something happened. Everything turned black. Protagonist sees some people. They are the neighbors that live in the house beside his apartment. He comes back to reality, confused about what happened to him. System window pops up in front of him that shows him the information about his neighbors. This happened because the protagonist has discovered the being that can be taken in as citizens. System asks him if he likes to give them citizenship. Protagonist asks them about what will happen if he doesn't give them citizenship. System answers, beings that are not given citizenship will be expelled out of the house. So the system asks him about his decision again. Protagonist thinks that if he doesn't give them citizenship, then all of them will be expelled to the monsters. Protagonist decides to give them citizenship to keep them safe. He assumes that he might have gotten other skills related to citizenship as well. When he checks, he sees a new skill, Ultimate Eye. With this, nothing in the house can escape his eyes. He checks if he has anything related to citizenship. In the system window, there is a new tab of Citizenship Management. When he clicks on it, he sees his citizens, their trust in him, and their population. Currently, he can fit 600 people. That is so many. When he clicks on one of the citizens' names, he can check all of the details about money distribution or experience distribution and their abilities. He can expel his citizens at any time and can give them quests. He can even control how much money he gets from them. This is how the protagonist is going to get more powerful. On the Quest tab, he can set many things like description, time limit, reward, and failure penalty for quest. Protagonist fills in all the details. The quest is to hunt one goblin in 168 hours, and the reward is a small amount of experience. There is no penalty for failure. System asks him if he wants to give them this quest. To check how far he can go with a failure penalty, he decides to fill in death. System successfully set it as a penalty. Protagonist decides to not give the quest. He realizes that if he wants, he can kill his citizens at any time. He is thinking about what to do now. He uses Ultimate Eyes. With this, he can see anything. Haiwan asks Hyungjin about what to do now. Hyungjin reveals that he has no choice but to go out to get water at the very least. He wants Haiwan to stay with the kids and wait. Haiwan requests him to not go outside because there are dangerous monsters outside. And on the other hand, they don't even know if there is going to be any place with water. Still, Hyungjin decides to try going to the convenience store nearby. It's a pretty big store, so there should be something there. Child says that she is thirsty. Hyungjin can't see his child like this, so he decides to go outside and asks Haiwan to have trust in him and wait for him. After seeing all that, protagonist dispels the Ultimate Eyes. He realizes that the situation is way worse than he thought. He opens the store and thinks that it'd be good if there's capacity to store more things. Then he opens his skills window. He sees that he has 3 points that he can use to upgrade his abilities. He upgrades the store skill. Now he can store 20 items instead of 10. He also receives a 10% discount on all of the items. Now he has 2 more points. He decides to invest more in store and dignity preservation, because he might have more citizens from now on. The store is now level 3, and the number of items that he can store has been increased to 40. On top of that, he can restore items now, a function that can restore old items and turn them into new ones. The protagonist realizes that it was worth increasing his store's level to 3. He opens the store and purchases Samdae water and Jeju tangerines. Then he decides to increase the level of the dignity preservation skill. If he provides electricity and water to the neighbor, he can request a lot of things in return. Dignity preservation level is now 2, and with this, he unlocks a new function of registering vassals. He doesn't know what a vassal is. Meanwhile, we see Hyungjin is ready to go outside. He asks his family to protect the house in his absence. His little girl asks him if he is really going out. Hyungjin puts his hand on her head and tells her that he will be back with some food and water. But the little girl knows that there are monsters outside, so she is worried about her dad. When the world was normal, both little girls were playing outside. But suddenly, many goblins start chasing them. They both try to run away from there. While they are running, their parents take them and start running. At the present, Hyungjin is ready to go outside. He knows that this could be his last time seeing his family. Then, someone knocks on the door and asks them to open it. Hyungjin doesn't know what to do, because it can be a monster outside. The thing who was outside stopped knocking, and the voice also disappeared. But then someone opened the door. Hyungjin takes the cover for his children and shouts to not hurt his wife and children. Actually, it was our protagonist who was knocking the door. Hyungjin asks him who he is. And finally, the protagonist revealed his name. He is Jaehyun, and tells them that he lives next door. He tells them that he has some water and tangerines and asks them if they can talk for a little while after they eat and drink. Hyungjin realizes that he has no reason to refuse water and food. Hyungjin asks Jaehyun to come in. Kids look like they are not happy after seeing Jaehyun. He wondered if he gave them too big of a shock. He notices that there are curtains on the window and light is also gone. That's pretty wise, since it really does reduce the chance of being attacked by monsters. Jaehyun decides to get some light here. He asks the system to light up. Now the electricity is back. Jaehyun gives them some water for children. Hyungjin takes the water and gives it to kids. They drink the water, but they are also starving. So Jaehyun offers them tangerines. Girl takes it and also says thank you. Haiwon peels the tangerines for them. She felt refreshed after eating it. Second child also asks for it. She also feels refreshed after eating it. System notifies Jaehyun that the citizens' trust for him has increased, and Seoyeon, who is the little girl in yellow shirt, her trust has reached 50. That means she has fulfilled the requirements to become vassal. Jaehyun sees the notification and thinks that she did fulfill the requirements to be registered for a vassal. But she's too young. Unlike citizens, Jaehyun can only register 10 vassals. He needs them to be at least on the level of Hyungjin, so that they can actually execute the orders of Jaehyun. Hyungjin trust is just at 31. Jaehyun has to increase it somehow. Hyungjin thanks Jaehyun and tells him that he doesn't know how to repay his kindness. Then, Jaehyun tells him that he wants to talk in the corridor alone. In the corridor, Jaehyun asks Hyungjin if he has received citizenship. Jaehyun shows him the system window. Hyungjin recognizes and tells Jaehyun that his whole family received it 30 minutes ago. Jaehyun asks him if anything special has happened after seeing the window. Hyungjin tells him that they weren't able to move their bodies for a short while. Jaehyun mentions that he will help Hyungjin to return to the life he had before. Jaehyun will make sure that monsters won't invade Hyungjin house. Hyungjin in disbelief asks if this is even possible. Jaehyun replies with yes. Hyungjin expects that it won't be free, so he asks Jaehyun what he has to do. He warns Hyungjin because there is a chance he will lose his life. Hyungjin still agrees because even without Jaehyun he was about to go outside for water and food. Jaehyun asks him the price of the gold club that he was holding before. Hyungjin reveals that it was about 400k to 500k. It's too expensive for Jaehyun. Right now, he needs money for the future. Hyungjin asks the reason for asking this. Jaehyun tells him that he was just curious and asks him if he remembers the day when the monsters appeared. Hyungjin clearly remembers that horrifying day. He survived because he was at home on that day. So Jaehyun assumes that the people who were at home on that day survived. A single goblin doesn't possess much strength. Their levels are also lower than an adult male. The real weapon of a goblin would be that they always move in groups, but that's the same for humans. Jaehyun decides to grow his army first. Jaehyun tells Hyungjin that from now on he has to look for survivors with Jaehyun. After that we see Jaehyun in his room seeing that Hyungjin's trust is increasing on him. It is now at 40. Jaehyun believes that he will eventually be able to meet his family members as he continues to take people in slowly. Suddenly, he heard a sound from outside. He gets up to see what happened. He sees some people outside. As Jaehyun can't go outside, it'll be hard to help them. When a goblin tries to attack one of them, he throws a baseball at it with immense force. Goblin died on the spot. Second person uses his bow and arrows to hunt down 2 of them. Third person has a bat as his weapon. Seeing their powers, goblins ran away. Girl with a bow and arrow suddenly noticed something. When he looks behind, she finds a packet of noodles on the ground. Jaehyun has thrown this packet outside to get their attention. He is trying to get their attention by waving his hands. Then, Hyungjin arrives outside of his door with a box. When Jaehyun opened the door and asked him to come in, he wasn't able to enter. System notifies that Hyungjin is unqualified to enter Jaehyun's room. Hyungjin couldn't understand what was going on. Jaehyun is also confused. He assumes that there is a chance no one can enter his house. Or maybe only those registered as vassals can enter. But Hyungjin still can give things to him from outside. He tells him that he has brought everything Jaehyun asked for. When he opened the box, there were some knives in a box. Then, Jaehyun purchases 5 bottles of water and 5 packets of ramen. Hyungjin is shocked seeing how Jaehyun can just summon food out of nowhere. Jaehyun asks him if he can go to the first floor and place these at the entrance. He is hesitating a little, because the first floor can be dangerous as there are monsters wandering around. Jaehyun reassures him telling him that he did some observation, and he finds out that goblins are only active in broad daylight. Jaehyun is doing this because he has to bring those people outside over to his side. There is no need to worry, because Jaehyun is the only one who has food. So if people outside ran out of food, there is no choice but to come to Jaehyun. Then he tells Hyungjin that he has a plan in mind, so there is no need to worry. Hyungjin asks him if he should really just leave this on the first floor and come back up. He answers with yes. Hyungjin decides to go to the first floor. After that, we see Jae-hyun open the quest window. He has created a quest. Its description is, bring 5 bottles of water and 5 packets of ramen to the first floor and return. Time is 24 hours. Reward is a small amount of experience, and there is no penalty upon failure. Quest window pops up in front of Hyungjin. Jae-hyun explains to him that if complete this request, he will get a small amount of experience. Hyungjin asks him if it is like a game. He confirms that and tells him that currently Hyungjin's level is 9. When he levels up, he will get good rewards. Now Hyungjin is going down to the first floor. He reaches the entrance of the apartment. He just has to put this box here. When he looks around, he sees silhouettes of some people. He thinks that they are monsters and decides to get away before getting caught. But he accidentally tripped and fell down, because of which the box opened and all food and water fell down. Hyungjin was just trying to get up when that silhouette appeared in front of him. Those were none other than the people from before. They ask him if he is all right. A message window popped up in front of Jae-hyun saying that a subject who hasn't been permitted entry is trying to enter. Jae-hyun uses his ultimate eyes to check. He sees that Hyungjin has invited the people who were outside. Girl tells her companion that this is the same apartment from where someone threw a ramen packet from. That means this place has food. This is perfect for these people because they have almost run out of rations. Jae-hyun releases the ultimate eye and has confirmed that these are the same people that he saw outside. System notifies him that the beings that meet the requirements for citizenship are approaching and asks him if he would like to propose citizenship to them. Jae-hyun realized that it's asking to send a proposal instead of forcefully adding or removing the citizens. When Jae-hyun territory expanded, Jae-hyun was forcefully granted citizenship to those who were in it, but outsiders were given a choice. It means that they can reject citizenship if they want to. Now he is confused about what to do because he needs those people to expand his forces. Hyungjin contacts him with a device. Jae-hyun asks him to wait a moment. System notifies him that Hyungjin is in the middle of a quest and asks him if he would like to edit the quest. Jae-hyun adds a new condition of treating the guests with a meal. A window popped up in front of Hyungjin notifying him about the updated quest. Jae-hyun asks him to tell the people that he's going to give them food. Jae-hyun has something in mind. Hyungjin did just that. He offers them a meal. He informs Jae-hyun that they agreed on having a meal. Now Jae-hyun proposes citizenship to all 6 of them. System notifies him that he has proposed citizenship to 6 people and also tells him their names. Because they have accepted citizenship, they got rights to access the 30th floor. System notifies Jae-hyun that the number of citizens has reached 10 and the amount of experience and money that his citizens will earn have increased by 10%. Jae-hyun can't believe that his citizens will get these good buffs when they go out to hunt monsters. In 6 of them, there is a man named Dongan whose level is 23. Level 23 would be as strong as the Calican that Jae-hyun killed previously. System tells him about Dongan. His trust is 19. Awakened ability is a baseball throw. For now, experience distribution and money distribution is 0. Baseball throw is a D rank ability that consumes stamina to increase the power of the ball by 3 times. This confirms that Dongan is a metahuman. In reality, depending on who throws the baseball, it's an item that could become a weapon. And if the skill multiplies its power by 3 times, it'll be perfect for killing monsters. As for Dongan's trust, Jae-hyun will just slowly increase it. He set the experience distribution rate to 70% for all 6 of them. Now he just needs to give them quests to hunt monsters now. He can just sit down and earn both experience and money. It's as if he's auto-hunting in a game. Of course, he still needs to get to know them when the time's right, because they could be the key to Jae-hyun reuniting with his family. Suddenly a message window popped that notifies Jae-hyun that Dongan's trust has increased. Jae-hyun is confused. Other people's trust has also increased. Then we see Hyungjin, who has invited all 6 of them to his home. Haiwon came running and asked him what's going on. Hyungjin tells her that he will explain everything to her later, but for now she has to prepare food for them. She says that it will take some time because she has to do everything from the start. Hyungjin still asks her to prepare it because he thinks that Jae-hyun has a plan. So she decides to prepare food as quickly as possible. Then, Dongan asks Hyungjin about Jaehyun. He answered saying that he's not sure himself. Hyungjin doesn't know anything other than the fact that he's his neighbor. He tells them that their life got better because of him. Dongan realizes that Jaehyun is a metahuman, and seeing the food, Dongan assumes that he must have an amazing ability. He decides to impress him no matter what. He's someone who is powerful enough to provide electricity, food, and water. In the current world, it's a miraculous ability. He's on another level. Hyungjin tells them it will take time to prepare and suggests that they should take a shower. Girls can't believe that they can take a shower. Dongan realizes that there's electricity, which means most of the facilities can be used. To make them more surprised, Hyungjin tells them there's warm water as well. He reveals that this is part of Jaehyun's ability. Hyungjin tells them that he has a bathroom in the living room and master bedroom, so two of them can wash up at the same time. Glasses Guy asks Dongan if he thinks that Jaehyun is a metahuman. Dongan confirms that and also tells him that Jaehyun's ability must be far more superior than his. Then a guy with black shirt suggests that they should beat down Jaehyun and steal everything. Dongan angrily asks him to not say that. He tells them that they should try to impress Jaehyun with everything they can. He begs him to not do anything stupid. Dongan reveals that their goal is to get as much food as possible, so they should try to do their best and make sure to read the room. Byung-go is spacing out and is looking sad. Dongan says sorry to him and blames himself for everything that is happening to Byung-go and the others. They decide to get food and then go to Byung-go's grandmother's house. Byung-go assumes that it's already too late. There is no chance that his grandmother could be alive. Suddenly, Jaehyun opened the door. Dongan and others instantly realize that Jaehyun can save all of them from this pit of despair. Now everyone is sitting around a table to start their meeting. Haiwan says sorry to everyone because it's a bit cramped here. Dongan asks her to not worry because they are the ones who came here without notice. Hyungjin arrives there with the food. He puts everyone's food bowl in front of them. Haiwan is a little worried because she cooked food in a hurry and doesn't know if it will be to their tastes. Just look at this. Anime food always looks so good. Girl takes the first bite. She can't stop herself because the food is so good. Haiwan tells them the food is good thanks to the ingredients that Jaehyun gave her. Without him, she would have served only rice and tangerines. System notifies Jaehyun that Haiwan's trust in him is now 50. Jaehyun is happy, but he needs Hyungjin trust to reach 50. Everyone is enjoying their meal. They like the egg roll so much. One girl remarks that this is the kind of sweet egg roll that Japanese restaurants serve. Haiwan is happy because everyone is liking her cooking. Seeing everyone eating, Seoya now also wants some egg rolls. Haiwan tells her that she will make egg rolls for her after their guests are done eating. Girl calls Seoyan and asks her if she wants to eat egg rolls with her. She jumps on her without thinking. She puts an egg roll in her mouth. Jaehyun asks Hyungjin and Haiwan to sit down and eat with them. There's enough food for all of them. They agree with him and dive in to eat. Seeing everyone eating, Jaehyun realizes that it's been a while since he had a meal like this. He hopes his family is safe. After finishing the food, Seoyan felt sleepy. Haiwan takes her and Nayeon to sleep. Jaehyun decides to continue their conversation. He asks Dongan for the reasons he's not able to go to his grandmother's house despite it being so nearby. He answers saying that it's because of the goblins. He assumes and tells them that the underground car park of the apartment is a good hiding spot for goblins. That's why the goblins decided to make it their base. Dongan and his team have estimated that the number of goblins in that place to be at least a few thousands. Jaehyun remembers that the ultimate shut-in ability only applies until the 30th floor. That's why the goblins can come into the apartment building via underground. Dongan and his team saw that all the apartment entrances were linked to the underground, so they didn't dare to even go out. Jaehyun remarks that from what he remembers, there are side roads. Dongan tells him that their original goal was to use the side road and get out, but there was a monster that looked even more dangerous than the goblins. Jaehyun gets shocked after hearing that. He tells him that it looked like a wolf or a bear. The only reason they were able to escape from it is because that beast was fighting a group of goblins. Jaehyun asks them if it was like a wolf or bear. Dongan replies with a terrified face that they don't know for sure because the place was so dark. Then Jaehyun tells them that there's no way to avoid fighting with them. In the end, Dongan reveals that they have their limits. Jaehyun asks them about their problem. Girl tells him that they use bows and throw baseballs. They'll run out of things to shoot or throw. Jae-hyun reveals that he can resolve this problem for them. He asks them if he can take a look at their arrow and baseball. They give him a bow, an arrow, and a baseball. System asks him if he wants to list these items in the shop. He replies with yes. System notified him that he needed to pay 1.5 million, to list the good condition compound bow. He still lists the bow. He asks them if they can all use bows. They didn't answer but made a weird face. Jae-hyun purchased 5 sets of bows and arrows. He tells them even if they can't use one, take the bows and practice, because they're going to be using them from now on. Some citizens' trust has increased. After seeing what Jae-hyun is capable of, Byung-go's hope of saving his grandma increased, and his trust on Jae-hyun has greatly increased. They realize that their hunting speed will increase greatly with these bows and arrows, and they don't even have to put their life on the line to retrieve arrows. Jae-hyun asks them to wait one moment before they carry one. They need to greatly reduce the numbers of goblins. Dongin agrees with him and asks when they should start hunting them. He announces that they will be going on a hunt tomorrow. They can't believe they're going on a hunt tomorrow because they haven't even practiced with new bows. But Jae-hyun believes in the words, the faster, the better. So they decided to go tomorrow. He decides to save Byung-go's grandmother tomorrow. Byung-go's face is filled with joy after hearing that. Dongin asks for the plan. He tells them that they will use bait strategy. System window pops up, telling the Hyungjin has completed his quest. The quest reward, 30,000 won, has been given to him. He looks at the message window and wonders if the money was required. He wonders if he can raise the level of his citizens using the money he has. He decides to not use the money to level up until it's really needed. Then a system window pops up again that informs that Hyungjin trust has increased again and reached 50 no. That means Hyungjin has met all the requirements to be registered as a vassal. Jae-hyun registered Hyungjin as vassal. He suddenly felt something in his body. He realizes that something has happened to his body. System notifies Jae-hyun that now his first vassal is registered successfully. He also has been granted the skill Summon Vassal as a reward, meaning he can summon the vassal into his house. However, he can only summon that vassal 2 hours after they have been first summoned. Hyungjin also received a title of First Servant, and now his level is 20 with 51 trust and 62 loyalty. He also received a new awakened ability that is the strength of a gorilla. This is a passive skill that grants him the strength compared to a gorilla. The title, First Servant, also has some benefits. The experience and gold that will be earned by Jae-hyun's vassal via hunting will be doubled, and the ultimate eyes now can be used to summon his vassal within 5 meters of his house. Jae-hyun realizes that there is also a plus button in the window. When he clicks on it, it reveals that now he can upgrade his vassal using 1 million won. He gets shocked because 1 million is too much. Seeing Jae-hyun like that, the girl asked him if there was anything wrong. He answers with no and asks Hyungjin how he is feeling. He tells him that he feels like his strength is overflowing and asks him if Jae-hyun is the one who did this to him. He answers with yes. Hyungjin tells him that he feels like he has become 10 years younger. After hearing that, Jae-hyun decides that Hyungjin will also join the mission. He is doing this because citizens are given 10% additional experience, but Hyungjin, the first vassal, will get double the amount of experience, meaning his growth will be astronomical. Jae-hyun asks him to kill as many monsters as he can. Hyungjin is not happy, but still decides to do as Jae-hyun orders him. Then we see that they have already reached the first floor. Black Hair asked Dongin if there is really a need to check the first floor, because the windows are all broken and the place is generally in bad shape. Dongin answered saying that they should check regardless. This is Jae-hyun ordered for this rescue team. This is the first mission given by Jae-hyun, and that is to rescue all the survivors in the building and transport them to the 30th floor. Dongin says that the crux of this mission would be to lure a large number of goblins into the apartment building and kill them. In order to do that, they have to find as many survivors as they can. They decide to start from Unit 101. They don't know where the goblins might pop from, so Dongin advises everyone to stay alert. They split up and enter 2 different rooms. Blood is on the floors of both rooms. When they enter, they get disturbed seeing such a bad scene. Many people are dead on the ground. They can't do anything about them, so they decide to leave. Same thing was in the second room. When they could not find any survivors on the first floor, they decided to move on to the next one. On the second floor, it's the same story. There is no one who is alive. Then on the third floor, they are knocking on the door of every room asking if there is anyone inside. After checking all the rooms, there was no one who survived. Then on the fourth floor, they did the same thing, but this time someone opened the door. It is a man. He asks them if they are really the rescue team. Dongan happily answers with yes. First thing that man asked after that was for water, because he was really thirsty. He takes out a water bottle from the bag and gives it to the man. Man asks again if they are really the rescue team and gives him a water bottle. Dongan reveals that they are fellow residents of this apartment, but they're here to rescue the survivors. He tells him that there's a place safer than here, and they are here to take the survivors to that place. Then the man fully opens the door and reveals that he has a son and a daughter. Man introduces himself as a Hungsu and decides to go with them. Dongan also introduces himself and shakes hands. He orders Gaeong and Hiren to bring these people to the 30th floor and come back here. They agree and decide to do what Dongan asks them. Jongsu gets stunned because he was thinking they are taking them out of the apartment. Sun comes out of the room and says that he is finally feeling alive. He was already expecting for people to come and save. He assumes that they have a helicopter on the top floor. Gaeong reveals that they don't have a helicopter, but have a warm meal and a shower on the 30th floor. Daughter gets really happy after hearing about the shower. Now the son and the daughter, both are ready to go with them. So dad has no other choice. System notifies Jaehyung that the number of citizens is now 40, and the experience and gold that his citizens will earn has increased by 90%. Jaehyun decides to have the children and elderly stay at Hyungjin's house first, and have the others live in the corridors. Dongan informs Jaehyun that there are a total of 40 people, they're all they could find. He tells him that they have checked everywhere up to the 29th floor. These people are the ones who didn't leave their house from the start. Jaehyun appreciates his work. Hyungjin's house is almost full. Jaehyun uses ultimate eyes and checks on Hyungjin and Dongan's team and their work. He decides to move on to the second stage of the goblin hunt. Dongan gathers everyone to tell the plan. He explains that their goal is to drag out all the goblins hiding underground. They'll first start from B1. They'll split into 2 teams, draw out those on B1, and kill them. After that, they'll kill off the rest of them on B2. Glasses Guy asks him what they will do if there's way more goblins than initially expected. He is worried because there's a chance that'll get stuck and isolated on the first floor. Also, something might happen while transporting the goblin corpses. Hiren asks him to not worry because she'll kill all of them by herself. Because unlike last time, they have plenty of arrows, so they'll be fine. Suddenly, they hear a loud voice. Some goblins have appeared there. Hiren uses arrows and knocks down 2 goblins easily. Bat Guy hunts down third one with a single strike. Glasses Guy asks him why he has brought a bow along if he was going to use the bat from the start. Hiren notices something and asks everyone to look at the goblins, their corpses slowly disappearing. Seeing that, Byung-go wonders if this is Jaehyun's ability. Dongan tells everyone to move down to B1. Byung-go, Dongan, and Hiren trust has increased. Jaehyun in his room after seeing all the notifications thinks that this is good timing. While he wasn't intending to do so, it became as if he was watching over them. System notifies Jaehyun that Byung-go's trust has reached 50, and his loyalty increased by 30, meaning he can now become a vassal. Jaehyun can't believe that Byung-go's trust reached 50 in just few hours. This worked out great for him. The more vassals he gets, the faster their growth will be. He can't believe that Byung-go's loyalty is at 88. Jaehyun registers him as a vassal. Meanwhile, on floor B1 everyone was fighting goblins when suddenly Byung-go started glowing. They don't know what is going on with him. Seeing the light of that high intensity, all the goblins become blind. Dongan and his team take this opportunity and run away from the horde of goblins. They are trying to stop the goblins, but there are too many of them. They never expected to attract this many goblins. That guy says that it feels like even the one in B2 all came up to B1. They all entered the emergency exit and tried to block off all the goblins outside. But stopping them is hard because there are too many of them. They will be able to break through at any moment. Hyungjin asks them to move and uses his passive skill Gorilla. He decides to hold all the goblins alone and ask everyone to go to the first floor. Hyungjin is using all his force to stop the goblins. After moving to the safe place, Dongan informs Hyungjin to get up. He leaves the door to move, but accidentally tripped and fell down. A goblin was about to attack him. Hyungjin, who was helpless on the floor, asked Dongan to go on without him. Suddenly, the bat guy jumps in and eliminates the goblin. More goblins entered and were about to attack Hyungjin, but he suddenly disappeared. Deoksu was confused about what happened. Dongan and his team launched the attack on goblins to get time for Deoksu to run. Just look at this intense moment. Outside the apartment, a bear monster is eating all the goblins. Then we see Hyungjin. He disappeared from there because he got summoned by Hyungjin. He was continuously observing the situation through ultimate eyes in case something were to happen. He's glad the vassal summon skill worked. Hyungjin is in pain because his leg is injured. He doesn't even know when he got this wound. Jaehyun asks him if he is all right. He tells him that he's okay. A wound like this is something he can quickly recover from. Seeing him, Jaehyun decides to list some medical supplies in the store. Jaehyun is about to enter his room and asks Hyungjin to wait here for a moment. He has realized that medical supplies are an absolute necessity in situations like this. He has some medical supplies, but he has only 40 slots. He can't list all of these. He gets an idea and puts everything in a first aid box and lists the box as a whole, meaning it will only take one slot. Used first aid kit price is 77,331. He goes to Hyungjin and asks him to show his injury. Hyungjin shows him the place. Jaehyun starts with disinfecting his wound. He slowly uses form to clean the wound. In the process, Hyungjin felt pain, but his trust and loyalty to Jaehyun also increased. After treating the wound, Jaehyun wonders if the others are doing well. Jaehyun asks him to rest here for a little while because he has something else to attend to. He uses the ultimate eye to take a look at the lower floors. He sees that Dongan and his team is fighting with unending group of goblins. 2 goblins was about to attack Deoksu, but then Byunggo jumped down and eliminated both of them in one strike. He eliminates more goblins with ease. Deoksu and Dongan can't believe this, because they never saw Byunggo fighting this good. Jaehyun is relieved because they're doing well. As Byunggo is a vassal now, he has unlocked an ability called Teleport. This ability utilizes mental strength to move between distances. It can only be used in areas where the user can see. Depending on how many people are designated for teleportation and how far the distance will be, more mental strength would be used. Jaehyun's decision to register him as vassal was great because this ability is very useful. Then we see Dongan and his team. Dongan asks Jeon if he has got the extension pocket ready. Jeon answers with yes. He asks Hyeren and Deoksu if the water tank is ready. They answer with yes. Then he asks Byunggo to come in. After Byunggo came in, they threw the water tank at goblins. With this, all the goblins became slower because of this much water coming down the floors. Then they used extension sockets to produce electricity. Because of the water on the floor, all the goblins get shocked. System notifies Jaehyun that he has hunted down many goblins and received a large amount of experience and money. He also obtained a new skill. Suddenly he felt something. System notifies him that hostile beings have been detected, commencing their removal. All the monsters on the down floor exploded. System notifies him that he has hunted many goblins. Subscribe for more.